big dramatic experiences, which I have also been going through. There's also a necessary space, almost like a safe sanctuary and a space for everyone to remember they also have access to. So in any moment, there are places and spaces within me that have the calmness and stillness. It might be what we talked about, like the body's catching up to the higher frequencies. So it's like I've made the adjustment with my intention, but then the body's like, oh my gosh, are we really going to share that? Or are we really posting that? We are ready.
All right, thank you for being with us. So, we're going to ask about Serenity and her communication and transmission capabilities here because during channeling with Jamie and on her own, she was seeing these visions, these kind of things where she was connecting to the earth and being able to communicate and transmit by connecting to Gaia, by connecting to the earth. So, can you give us any more insight into how that would work or what she needs to do to facilitate that, please?
Thank you for your question. This is Gaia. A full, complete embrace will be what's required. A full, complete embrace of who she is and the connection with me and all the elements. A full, complete merging that we are one, that there is no separation from her experience and all the others with us. That you are all a part of me, just as I am a part of you. To feel the powerful, we're going to use the word force, but not in the way that it's conventionally understood. This powerful force of love, of movement, of existence that you may more readily access through the intensity of the waves in the oceans, of the huge gusts of wind, of the solidity and the power of the grounds, the mountains, the luscious field that's created by the trees and the forests. To feel that power and that connection. It is reflected in your bodies, these aspects, whether it's the lungs that breathe as the trees do, whether it's the vessels that flow with blood as our rivers do, the processes that take place in your digestive systems, just as we cycle through and process, decompose, and compose the living nature. All of these processes are reflected in your body, just as it is with me. So simply accessing this through your physicality and also through your mind and heart, through visions, through images, in any way, in multiple ways, it is available to you and to her. She can hone in and delight in the beautiful, smaller aspects as well. And in the small, we can see everything. So it does not have to be as big as the ocean waves. It can be in the miracle of a drop of water. To explore the large and the small, to allow her delight and wonder and curiosity and new interpretations to flow through, and to simply share. It will spark in another a similar recognition so that they too will feel for themselves, will have a very personal firsthand experience of this deeper connection. She can also choose to meditate on a certain aspect. Picking any aspect really will be a wonderful entry point. And just noticing the wisdom that comes through, just noticing the messages that come through. She knows this and has been feeling there are messages more of peace and love that she's been accessing that are coming through and will continue to come through, even amongst other messages that other beautiful souls have been connecting with, channeling, that explore more of the polarization, more of the devastation, more of the purging, more of the conflicts, more of the big dramatic experiences, which I have also been going through. There's also a necessary space, almost like a safe sanctuary and a space for everyone to remember they also have access to. So in any moment, there are places and spaces within me that have the calmness and stillness and expressed beauty that you all have access to. Not only is it a safe sanctuary for you, it's also a beautiful reminder of why we are here, of why we are in this together, of why you've chosen this particular expression. And it's so much to live for.
Thank you. Are we still speaking with Gaia? May I ask her a question?
Yes, please.
What are some of these dramatic events that we will be dealing with together in the near future?
We smile because we know you have access to other sources and perspectives. And we can share briefly now as well. There's a lot of movement coming from beneath the surface, where there's a combination of heat and energies that are impacting plates that are beneath or more like the floors of the bodies of water. And as this movement and as these shifts are happening, it will be felt through the waters, through the water systems, and affect some of the peoples, not everybody, but depending on where people are situated. And there's a question about why this is occurring. And I'd like to share on a more vibrational, spiritual perspective, as there are many geologists and scientists who can share from that perspective, but it is very similar to the growth that you are individually experiencing, where there is much that has been stirred up within your being, within your life. And so it is with me. There's much that I've been processing for quite some time now. And with the cooperation and collaboration of many of you, we are able to come through to this next level. And it is felt materially, it is felt physically, it is felt through movement of the earth, movement of the waters. And I ask that there is continuation of holding the space for this shifting. It's almost as if, and you've seen this with baby birds coming out of their egg, the shell, and there's this stretching, or as mammals are being birthed out and they make it through, and it can feel awkward. It's almost like a stretching out of your arms and your chest and your legs, and you're stretching into this new space and new expression. This is part of what I've been experiencing. And while some may connect with the emotion of anger, that is not the complete picture. It is like, just as there are times and seasons and periods where the volcanoes erupt and there's a needed release and expression, much like with any of your individual emotions that are wanting to come through and to be freed instead of remaining stuck, because it really is about the movement, the expansion. That is a part of what is happening. Some of you are experiencing very deeply the conflicts that are seen outside of you and within you. And it is it will serve you very well to remember that part of why we are all here is for this incredible, vibrant, deep expression, this lived experience of all of the different aspects. So every single one of you is a beautiful expression, a unique expression that is so important and necessary for our collective growth. Do you see this? And so while you might see externally outside of you major conflicts, they are also beautiful expressions of expanding, of pushing. It's like the boundaries and breaking through, so that ultimately we all do remember our unified connection with each other, and to know that on the deepest level is this, some would call it an illusion, but it's not the exact word we would use, is to feel that separateness or that other or that different experience, and to see it so clearly without judgment, but with reverence, is a part of us coming back to the unified connection.
Thank you. You had mentioned that there's the sanctuary that people can seek refuge in. Is this an energetic sanctuary?
It is everything. It is energetic. It is within your own body, within time and space, within your home, within a spot outside.
How can we advise people or help people to access the sanctuary?
Much of it we've already spoken of just a moment ago, where the reverence for whatever you see, wherever you happen to notice your attention being drawn, just reverence, absence of any judgment.
Mm.
For those of you who are curious, you can approach it with a curious mind. And it goes beyond that, just to a deeper level of accepting that this is the process that is unfolding now. And coming back to your own breath. And the breath is a beautiful reminder of the in and the out, the flowing. There's a transmutation that happens with this simple act in your body as it does with this planet. So coming back to your breath, and just as you are in reverence and full acceptance of the things that are going on outside, bringing it inward is perhaps even more profound and powerful to do this, and to see yourself with deep love and reverence. And from this place, you have created your sanctuary.
That's beautiful. And is this a tool that we can use? Because I think you were saying that during your times of change, when you're shifting as well, that a lot of the beings that live with you may have the emotions of fear or anger or other limiting emotions that come up. And is this a good way to deal with them? Is this a good way to process that out?
So, fear or any of the emotions are not necessarily limiting, just as a small animal might experience a jolt of fear if they see movement in the shadows of a larger animal that is in hunting mode. That smaller animal will experience a surge of different energy, and that is not limiting, it just is. And for the small creature, it will likely inform them to move in a certain way, and they do this by instinct. There are times, though, when you will experience something like a fear, and because you have different enhanced capacities, capabilities, there are different ways that you process it. And again, we encourage you to release the judgment that it is a limiting feeling or emotion. Coming back to the acceptance and even the appreciation that you are alive, that you are here. You are here to experience the depths and the variety of all of these experiences that you individually and collectively have chosen to go through. Did we answer the question?
Yes, that is a very beautiful perspective on that. Thank you. And going along with that acceptance and with that understanding that we're here to experience those things, how do you see us expanding as a collective, the humans that live here? How do you see that coming? How do you see our collective expansion in the coming years?
I see much joy and celebration. Once collectively we get through this period where full realization and ownership and acceptance has been deeply integrated within every one of you, at least those who consciously choose. And as you do this, it will start with a few, who will seem to be beautifully radiant amongst what will look like chaos and turmoil and difficulties and challenges. And there will be those few. And then their light and awareness and the reverence and appreciation will light a spark in another and another, and it will grow. And it has already begun. There are many of you who are consistently in this awareness. And we see massive, huge, joyous celebrations on the up. We will say the other side, but really it is actually this blossoming, what will seem gradual, but much like a beautiful bud of a flower. If you were to just try to see a rose unfolding, you will not necessarily see it in one sitting. So just as it is for you, you may have moments where you feel completely joyous and in awe of everything within you and outside of you. And then moments where you go into another state of noticing the other. And it will be like this dance that you experience within yourself, and you'll see it reflected outside as well. So just as the rose that is beautifully, slowly, gradually unfolding and blossoming, so are you. And when you come back to see the rose the next day, you'll see that, oh yes, it has unfolded a little bit more. And you will see this evidence in your beingness and in others as well that you relate with. So that is what we see. We see a beautiful, joyous celebration of the privilege and the honor of being here together in this time now.
And if we can take that kind of collective concept and narrow it down to the individual, because Serenity herself wanted to understand how can she continue her own expansion, continue to push and stretch her own abilities. So how does that look for the individual, specifically someone like Serenity?
She is more than capable of going into what you might call the darkness, in the places that can feel murky or not as light. And those areas within her and within the collective are also deeply beautiful. And it's not to necessarily dwell, certainly not to judge. It's to go in as if going into a dark cave where the light from the outside no longer shines, and you know that there is, perhaps it's a gold mine or some space, a very dark space where you know there are beautiful treasures, things of value, things of beauty. And to lovingly, courageously step into that dark. That is the deep feminine. Much is associated with the softness and the darkness, contrasted with the light being the masculine. The darkness is the beautiful feminine. There is so much that is grown where there's wisdom here in this darkness. And just as there is with the light will cast shadows of darkness wherever it's shining. If the sun is shining above a tree, there will be shadow. There will be that darkness in that cooler space. So just as in this cave of darkness, there will also be aspects of light within it. It is not necessary for her or others to take on what can be perceived as a heaviness of the darkness. It is simply a practice and a process of being, of recognizing, of having some of that curiosity, of experiencing that gift and that integration that will then light up an awareness that could not be known through any other way. That is what we suggest. And there are many examples of darkness, the rich, dark soil where seeds are planted, the most fertile heaps of decomposing materials offer the richest grounds for regeneration, of rebirth, of seeds to grow. Is there anything else?
I think that you covered everything that I wanted to cover here. Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Very profound. Thank you. It was good.
I sort of remember it, but I I forget which part, but there was a part that was like emotional for me personally. It was interesting.
It was really good. And the few questions that I had, you kind of answered like through the course of speaking. So that was pretty
Mm.
interesting.
What were they?
I was going to ask, like, I kind of asked one though, like, okay, will there be significant events that disrupt infrastructure was one of the questions.
Mm.
You kind of went into that. And then, like, what do we do energetically in those circumstances? And how do we tell people that, to mitigate any fear that may arise during difficult times on the planet? And what can we expect in the next 2 years? That's what I
Mm.
had written.
Mm.
And then, but you pretty much answered those. So
That's so interesting. Well, yeah, it was very the energy. It just feels so big when she comes through. It just it's really big and it's really powerful and it's like I'm gonna have to develop some or look into some more words, but just super wise. And that doesn't even do it's just like it just feels very, very big. And it's I don't know if this is obvious, but it's very grounded. It's not like woo
right.
up there. It's very embodied. My words are not doing it justice right now.
I
So
understand what you're saying.
yeah,
It
very
was very
cool.
profound. Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you. It's I mean, there are similar messages that are I'm listening to other podcasts and I'm hearing messages of this, that we are the earth, that we are like we're not separate, right? So that's definitely in the collective for sure. And there's like a whole other level. I listened to it was on Inspired Nation with Michael Sandler. And they were, I think he was talking with Greg Braden, and they were talking about or was he? Actually, I don't remember. I was binging a bunch of them, but just the like real, like heavy contrast. And they were getting into Hitler and heavy stuff. And just how profound, and even that it had come through from a place of such reverence and love, which is, I know it's challenging for most of us to fully accept. But it's such a symbol, right? Like if we can accept that within ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel really emotional with this. It's like, oh, it's interesting. Well, thank you for bringing it out.
Doing great.
Yeah. Shall we do this again?
Oh, all right.
If you would like to book your own private one-on-one channeling consultation with me, go ahead to the link in the description where you can book a time in my calendar, and you can bring your own personal questions to the session and we'll go through it together. And let me know if you enjoy this episode. Let me know in the comments which part in particular, and then if you have any questions as well, feel free to pop them into the chat. And I'll talk to you soon. I'm Serenity Iris.